Well, I was going to ask Jimmy, actually, you played your last one-day international at the World Cup in 2015, and obviously did a lot of stats on you during the last test, and your record since you stopped playing one-day international cricket is phenomenal, averaging around about 20, and I think over the previous 4 or 5 years before that, averaging sort of 25, so obviously very good before that, but you've had your best years since then. Is that a factor, and if so, is it to do with the physical side of it, of just not playing so much, not playing so many days of cricket, having longer breaks, and how much of it is a technical thing of not having to change your techniques from one format to another?
Yeah, I think it definitely has played a factor. Certainly when it comes to touring, that one day series at the end of a winter tour, usually, it just does take its toll on the body. And I think, I mean, having been able to focus on one format and one set of skills definitely has made a difference to me. And if I'm being brutally honest, I probably didn't put as much effort into the white ball skills as I did into my red ball skills, and maybe that had a detrimental effect on my white ball game. But I'd certainly feel fresher going into every test series. I feel like I'm, something to look forward to rather than having to flip between the two series. And in the same way, I think that the guys that are in the white ball team, generally the bowling attack's a little bit different. I know there's a bit of overlap. Chris Wokes, Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, a little bit of overlap there. But generally there's some guys here, Chris Jordan, for example, just playing white ball cricket at the minute. And I'm sure that helps him when it comes to working on his skills and just getting his mind ready for T20 cricket.
Another thing that came up in the last test was the CricViz data for this summer show that you were swinging the ball less, but a much higher proportion of your balls would have hit the stumps. Was that to do with the not being able to use saliva on the ball, and you were finding swinging less? And was that a sort of deliberate tactic to then focus more on trying to get bowls and LBWs? Yeah,
well, I think if a bit of everything. Yeah, so the ball didn't swing as much, and it probably was to do with the fact that we couldn't put saliva on the ball. So therefore, I went to try and seam the ball a little bit more, but also the pitches, certainly Old Trafford, the pitches we had here were more conducive to trying to get LBWs. We saw Stuart Broad, Chris Wokes having a lot of success attacking the stumps. So we did a bit of everything, but yeah, generally I found it didn't swing as much as normal, and I'd say probably because we couldn't look after the ball as we normally could.
Was that difficult, that instinct, for your whole career, saliva on the ball, and that's always been the way, and then this summer it completely changes? Yeah,
I mean, for me, we talk a lot about batsmen looking after their bats and being quite protective about them. They sand them down and tape them, and they look after them. A cricket ball is exactly that for me. That's my bit of equipment that I can use to my advantage, and I really like to look after it, so I generally shine it quite a lot. And not being able to do that was so frustrating, and trying to find some moisture as well. That first few overs where you're not sweating, thankfully it was raining, so I was rubbing the grass quite a lot to get some moisture into the ball and repair the scuffs that we'd get. But I did find it frustrating. But I think that actually helped us, because, as I said, we didn't try and swing it that much because the pitches were more conducive to bowling straight.
Who was the sweatiest England cricketer sort of player who had to do the ball shining? Who was?
Generally Dom Bess we found was the sweatiest. Yeah. Probably not a title that he wants, but he would often get the ball, because he'd walk down the stairs and he got swelled. Yeah.
How did you discover that Dom Best was the sweatiest? Did you have a sort of trial system?
Well, we got to a point where we just like going around the team. Like, anyone got any moisture to put in this ball?
So the off spinner that does the least running in his bowling approach.
Yeah. I think he did dive around at backward point a little bit. So I think he's clammy most of the time.
In terms of conversations 12 months ago we didn't think we'd be having.
No.
This one's got to be up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Just stick a sauna in the dressing room and just get one player really sweaty before you go out to field.
We did notice that, though, didn't we, on the stats and everything, Zolks, about the guys, especially Stuart as well, changing his style of bowling a little bit, really looking for the sort of like the the LBWs and the bowls. It was very, very noticeable. Was that something that you discussed, or is it just something he worked out for himself?
I think certainly Stuart's been working on that for a few years, trying to bring the stumps into play a little bit more. To be honest, he's worked on the ball going away from the right-hander as well, and I think he did that pretty well. Just having a bit of both. But I think he's definitely tried to consciously pitch it up a bit more and bring the stumps into play.
Yeah.
It was sort of an interesting thing looking at his stats and your stats. After 20 matches in Tests, you were averaging 39, he was averaging over 40. Quite extraordinary stories of sort of personal improvement, I guess a bit of selectorial patience at the start. I mean, did you have doubts at that phase in your career that you'd make it as a top-level international?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I always, because I had a little bit of success right at the start, so my first couple of tests went well, and then I had a little bit of success in the few tests after that. I kind of always fell back on that and thought, right, I know I can perform at this level. It's just a case of trying to work out my game and get my mind in the right place to be able to perform. But obviously, of course, there are doubts there when you're getting smashed everywhere. I mean, I remember a game in Johannesburg where I just didn't know where the ball was going. I was, my arms and legs were going everywhere. I felt like they weren't attached to in the right place. I just felt so unnatural. And at that point, I thought I'm just not cut out for this. And then you get dropped the next game. But I think it's a sort of combination of trying to have good people around you to coaches and family and friends that keep telling you that you're good enough.
Did you ever think early in your career, this is what I aspire to achieve in the game? Because considering the milestone you've just reached, and I don't think anyone in their wildest dreams would think about that at the start of their career as a seam bowler, and it's an extraordinary achievement. But did you, 2002, 2003, think, this is what I can do, and this is what I want to do, and I expect of myself to achieve?
No, I don't think so. I think I felt very lucky at that point to have played for, in 2002 I'd played for Lancashire and England in the same year, and I just thought, this is incredible. And I don't know how long it's going to last, so I'm going to try and enjoy it as much as I can. And that's pretty much my thought process. And I felt like the following year, 2003, was where there's that bit more expectation, bit more pressure, and that's probably where I struggled a little bit. But I never set out thinking, right, I'm going to play for 17 years, take this many wickets. And I think that, to be honest, not looking too far ahead has actually helped me just focus on the present and what you can actually affect, and also not look too much at the past as well, and not try and get too down or too overexcited if things go well.
And we saw you at the Aegeus Bowl. You were still running up and bowling at some cones or something on the last day when you started working with something. We saw you out there, always learning, always trying to improve.
Yeah, but I think that's, if you don't have that, the minute you think that you've got it sussed, then I think the game bites you on the backside, because I don't think anyone who's played the game has ever had it properly sussed. I do try and constantly improve, try and improve my fitness all the time as well. But I think that's helped me. I've still got the hunger to do that as well, and I think as soon as that disappears, then that's probably time to call it a day.
Do you get bored of people asking how long have you got left to play? And I'm not going to do it because I sense that you might, so I'm just going to ask whether you get bored.
I do. Yeah. And do you know what? I think the thing that frustrates me the most is the fact that there's so much focus on the number that's next to your name, the 38. Which it's become this summer. People seem to think, right, you can't have much longer left. Whereas, the way I feel, the way I'm bowling, I just feel like I could carry on for a long period of time. But who knows how long it's going to be? And I don't want to put a number on it. I don't want to think too far ahead. But I certainly know that I can keep playing for a little bit longer. Yeah.
Well, that's good news. That's what we all want to hear.
Yeah, you just on sharp.
Yeah, I felt really good. My speeds were up. But not annoyingly, I do occasionally get into the habit of reading stuff in the media as well, and that's something that I should avoid because it does frustrate me seeing, we need extra pace in Australia, and I'll be 39 then. But to be honest, I'll keep trying to improve. If I'm good enough to get in the Test team in a year's time, then hopefully I'll be on that plane to Australia and make the team.
Well,
what are the challenge of Australia? You've seen obviously England. You had a great tour there in 2010-11. The last two have not been overly successful. We saw South Africa won there with a lot of wickets. Lander bowling sort of 80 miles an hour. Do we oversimplify what's required to succeed in Australia as a bowler by this sort of obsession with pace and often height?
Absolutely. Something that we've got wrong, I think, in the past couple of tours, being obsessed with pace, obsessed with height. Of course, you need something different, but you always need that. Not just in Australia. It's great if you've got a leg spinner. It's great if you've got someone who bowls 95 miles an hour. But essentially, I think wherever you go in the world, you pick your best bowlers for that surface. Phil Lander's a great example. He doesn't miss the top of off stump, and he's had success wherever he's gone. I think the key in Australia is, and this is easy for me to say as a bowler, but is getting 400 in the first innings. When we've had success there, teams that have had success there have got big first innings scores, and that makes bowling a lot easier when you've got those runs on the board. I think if you look at the last couple of times we've been there, we've actually bowled Australia out for 250, 280 in the first innings, but not been able to get a first innings lead. So I think that's something that also needs to be addressed, not just the bowling attack.
Isha Guha joins us as well. We've seen Ashes tours in a recent series and endless conversations about how England need a taller, faster bowling attack. But these conversations continue. It's almost the accepted truth. Why do we keep having these conversations?
I think because we've seen the history of Australian cricket and the number of fast bowlers that have come out of Australia, especially when you think about the Wacker and some of the quick bowlers that have bowled there, and they feel like they can just unleash what they have. It's question time with Jimmy, so I want to ask Jimmy actually about that last tour and how much that drives you on and motivates you to play in the next Ashes, because I think all of us were here actually, and it was so tough for you guys. It felt like a never-ending tour by the end of it, 4-0, and it felt like almost it got to Sydney and everyone was just so drained by the experience. I've kind of changed the subject a little bit there.
You go for it, Ish. Don't you worry.
But a lot of people on the back of that were saying, well, we need a quick bowler. And so all of a sudden everyone's getting excited about Mark Wood and Jofra Archer and the potential for them to be available down under for the next Ashes tour. But how much did that tour drive you to want to say, I want to keep going?
Oh, I don't think it's driven me to want to keep going. I think if I don't know, as I said before, you don't really try to dwell on the past too much, whether it's good or bad, because I think you've always got to keep looking forward, keep looking at ways to improve, not just yourself but as a team. How do we keep improving? How do we keep evolving? And I think we've shown good signs of doing that, of improving this summer. Everyone who's been given a chance has performed at some point with bat or ball. So I think it's an exciting time for us, because we've now, at least we're in a position now to have those options. We're not searching for the quick bowler, because we've got two in Mark Wood and Jofra Archer, so we've got options there. But I think you do need a balance. You need control as well. We've seen, you look at Australia throughout the years. When they had Mitchell Johnson, they had the control of Siddle at the other end. They had the control of Lyon at the other end. That makes a massive difference when you're not going anywhere. That allows then the quick bowler to bowl a little bit more aggressively. You can't just throw in three wild quick bowlers and hope that they're going to blow the opposition away. You do need that control, and that we've seen that. The minute we've had control this summer, whether it's with the spinner one end or whether it's with myself or Stuart, or Chris Wokes, that allows then the guy at the other end to be a bit more attacking. And I think it's just a balance thing, I think, and we're all aware of that. But I try not to dwell on that.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4-0 was actually a positive result considering the 2 5-0s that we were involved in. So.
Well, the only reason I ask is because Simon Mann interviewed you at the end of that tour, and you said it's not how I want to finish things here. You know, I want to be able to come back for the next Ashes tour down under, and if you remember,
I don't remember that,
but also just recently, Joe Root said he wants you to be there next year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't look into the future, and I don't know what's going to happen in the next 12 months, but all I can do is keep myself fit, keep myself bowling well, trying to, if we do play in the winter, some test matches, hopefully get a chance, keep performing well. Obviously, we've got next summer as well. We've got India coming, I think, which will be a huge test for us and a great sort of lead up to that Ashes as well. So all I can keep trying to do is do that, stay fit, and keep working hard at my game. And if I'm good enough to get in that 11 in Brisbane in 12 months' time, then brilliant.
Do you get frustrated by we've seen an example this week where the suggestion that this summer was somehow a missed opportunity to get players ready for the Ashes next time because everything's about the Ashes, as opposed to just picking the best team and winning the series in front of you? Because it seems to be the case that rather than focusing with what's happening, there's always that focus on what might be 12, 18, 24 months down the line in Australia.
Yeah, I think there's always that kind of look into the future. And yeah, of course we want to have a look at people and try and give them opportunities and experience. And we're seeing that in the T20 format at the minute. Young guys at the top of the order getting a chance to go out there because of the nature of the situation we're in. And that's great. But if there's not that opportunity there, then why force it? We're still playing for a Test championship. Still points to be won for that. We want to win Test matches. I think the best thing for the best way for a team to grow is to win series and win Test matches. So doing that will help everyone that's involved. The guys that haven't played will still learn from the experience. They'll learn from how people prepare, how we go about things, how we actually manage to win Test matches and Test series, and that'll help them as well. But I'm sure there'll be the more Test cricket we play in the next 12 months, the more there will be natural opportunities for people to have chances. There'll be injuries to bowlers. There will be drops in form, and unfortunately people will miss out. It's harder, I think, in Test cricket to force that sort of thing.
Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen this winter with regard to England's Test schedule. There's a lot of talk of playing India in the UAE. You and Stuart Broad have had quite a good deal of success in the Test against Pakistan in the UAE. How are the wickets there different to, say, India? Because we tend to sort of lump Asian wickets together. What are the differences, and what are the sort of challenges and techniques you use as a bowler to succeed on those tracks?
I don't know, to be honest. We have had success there. I think there's potentially a little bit more grass on them, which does help with the new ball. You know that there's going to be a bit of swing there, bit of reverse later on as well. Myself and Stuart have worked really hard on our cutters, we try and, it's a subtle change where you just roll your fingers down the side of the ball just to try and make it grip in the dry surface. Having skills like that really helps. But yeah, we've just enjoyed bowling there. I can't really put my finger on it, and I don't think the wickets are too different to India. But yeah, if that happens, we'll be delighted with that.
Forward to resuming your rivalry with Virat Kohli, which was so compelling in that series here in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough bowling against batsmen of that quality, and obviously I had some success against him in 2014. He came back completely different player in 2018 and was incredible. So yeah, it'll be a tough battle in that respect, but something that certainly I do enjoy that against the best players. That's who you want to get out as a bowler. You want to try and get the best players out.
What changed in his game over those 4 years? He struggled quite a lot early in his Test career and obviously become the great player we see today. What did you see that had changed in him over that time?
I just felt like he left the ball really well. The first time he came over, he was when I was bowling an outswinger, he'd try and chase it a little bit early on. So that brought the edge into play and the slips into play, and I just felt like he left a lot better and he was a lot more patient, waited for you to come to him because he's very strong off his legs. He wanted that shot, and then once he got in, he started playing a bit more expansively, and I just thought, his all-round game, both his mental approach and his technique was just that little bit better.
Jimmy Anderson is with me, and his Zaltzman Isha Guar as well. Ish.
Yeah, I put it out there on social media. So it's question time with Jimmy, and a few questions have come in, and there've been a couple from people asking, and you've probably already done this on radio today, but just for people tuning in now, what's the most memorable wicket you've taken in your 600?
Well, actually, we had this chat when we were walking across the ground earlier. You asked me if I remembered all of them, and
Like Glenn McGrath.
yeah, I don't have that sort of memory.
Or can you do a top three?
I think when I think about my best performances as an England player, the 2013 Ashes at Trent Bridge, I think it was the first Test. We won by 14 runs, and I got 10 in the match. That for me is probably my best performance, all-round performance. And my two favourite wickets from there, I got Michael Clarke bowled with one of the best balls I bowled, and
that's the one where you pointed at the stumps, isn't
yeah,
it?
because it just flicked the sort of top of off and nicked the bail off. And then in that game, the last wicket Brad had in, I didn't actually hear a nick, but Matt Pryor and Alistair Cook heard it and reviewed it. And then obviously there's quite a famous picture of us all celebrating after that, which was, for me, one of the best moments in an England shirt. Being able to have sort of bowled the match-winning ball is something that you don't get to do very often. So that was, for me, very special.
Any more, Rich?
Yes, there are. What has been your... This one you'll like. What has been your favourite It's Matching quiz on tailenders?
My favourite quiz on tailenders, it'd have to be Cruisic, which is where he comes up with... he gives you a clue, and it's an amalgamation of cricket and music. So there's some sort of... Yeah, I've not explained that very well, but you should check it out and listen to it if you get a chance.
I have to ask you this one. Himanshu writes, what's the secret behind him being away from controversies? What's his daily regime, and how is he so calm and composed?
No one's ever described me as calm and composed before, I don't think. I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest.
Another way of framing it, I suppose, when the third of those catches went out the other day, Jimmy, and you didn't completely lose your temper with Stuart Broad, and he then got the run out, so his name goes up in the scorebook as a positive action for him rather than yours with the wicket that gets you closer to 600. Well, what was going through your mind at that time, and how did you not express it for us all to see?
Well, I was inside absolutely fuming with that. I didn't know how he dropped it. Not only did he drop it, hit him on his forearm. After the two that had gone down previously, I was in a pretty dark place, to be honest. But that evening, something that cheered me up, someone sent me Joss's reaction behind the stumps. Joss Butler firstly put his glove over his face when the ball flew into middle stump when he threw it. And then secondly, as he's walking over to Stuart to congratulate him, he was sort of out of the corner of his eye just looking to see if anyone else was laughing hysterically like he wanted to. So he had that sort of cheeky grin on his face. I thought that was quite sweet, and that made me laugh and forget the horrible lead up to that moment.
How many hours had it been of just stewing and raging?
No, I think Stuart felt really bad. He apologised immediately. But yeah, they're obviously frustrating when you get drop catches, even more so when you're nearing a milestone.
And you don't know when your next Test match is going to be, and it's due to rain the next day. Yeah, I can see that it would all add up.
Croft messages in, given the 90 catches that have gone down off your bowling, who is your dream slip cordon?
Well, from an England point of view, the best slip cordon I've ever had was Strauss, Swan, Collingwood, 1, 2, 3. That was our slip cordon in 2010-11 Ashes in Australia.
Would you pick someone from different eras, or?
I'd pick someone from different countries, I think.
Okay.
So we actually had this discussion in the dressing room during a rain break not long ago, and so we'd Graham Smith at first slip, Ricky Ponting at second slip, and I think Paul Collingwood still made it in at third. But yeah, there's some amazing slip catchers out there from the past, especially. I think for us at the minute, we just need a bit of consistency. It's been hard with Ben missing the last couple of games, but I think the more the thing with Strauss, Swan, and Collingwood was that they did it for a long period of time, got used to each other being there.
One of my favourite moments of your career, Jimmy, is one that is often used. It's a short video clip from an Ashes series in 10-11, I think it was. Mitchell Johnson's at the non-striker's end, and you can see him say, and Dan Tinkler gets in touch with this on Twitter at BBC TMS. Mitchell Johnson's sledge saying, "What you chirping, mate? Not getting any wickets. You run in, bowl." I don't know who.
Ryan Harris.
Ryan Harris is then bowled, and you turn round and you know
Yeah.
Talk us through it. How good was that moment?
Well, I mean, it was a complete fluke, wasn't it? It wasn't the best ball I've ever bowled, but me and Mitch were having a few words, shall we say, through that period. And it was just, I don't know, like it never happens like that where someone sledges you and then you get a wicket the next ball. So a one-off for me, and something that I do get reminded of quite a lot, and it's quite nice to watch every now and then.
I wish you'd said actually that every time somebody sledges, I just get a wicket, and that was the only time the cameras are rolling. You know, it's just part of the course. Matt Vickery gets in touch and says, it's the last over of the last day of the Ashes. You need one wicket to pass Anil Kumble in the list of all-time Test wicket takers. Who would you choose to bowl at? And I'm going to extend the question, not in terms of who you think you're going to get the wicket of, but if you could guarantee you would get the wicket, who would you most like that wicket to be, if you see what I mean?
Okay. I don't know, really. I think probably Steve Smith, just because he's the best player. Like I said before, you want to get the best players out. He's also someone that I've not had a great amount of success against in the past, so to get him out would be nice.
Timothy said, who was the one wicket that perhaps got away that maybe you didn't get that you feel like you should have done?
That's a tough one. I think you always look back at people that you struggle getting out, and Hashim Amla was one for me in Test cricket. I think I got him maybe once or twice, and he had a lot of success against us as well. I got a 300 at the Oval, which was incredible, but obviously not great for us at the time when you're out in the field. So I think for me, he's probably someone that maybe I should have had more success against, but he always got the better of me.
We're moving on to darts because, we're bouncing all over the shop here. Stephen Grayson, and there is a darts board in one of the rooms that we can use here.
Great.
So, we're looking forward to it. What's your highest checkout in darts? Stephen Grayson asks.
I think it's 154, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's put me right off playing you at darts, to be honest, Jimmy. I was about to impress you when I once got double 4.
Nice.
Andy?
The over 2 is good.
Anything on the board.
One player you famously had a lot of success against was Sachin Tendulkar. What were the different things you did when you bowled to him, or did you just try and sort of challenge him outside his off stump?
Definitely didn't try and do anything different against him. I think the one thing I did was try and not think about who it was down that end. I think you can get a little bit overawed by just someone's record or what they've achieved in the game. So I thought I just tried to think of him as a right-handed batsman who I was just trying to bowl my best ball to. He was someone that that he was a great player, but he wasn't destructive. He wasn't, if you bowled your best ball, you'd be respectful and play it back. Whereas a Sehwag, for example, who played in the same team, you could bowl your best ball to him and he'll hit it over mid-wicket for 6 in a test match, and that I found more difficult. When someone's just playing you respectfully, you can kind of get into a rhythm against them, and that's all I did, just try and bowl my best ball at him, and got lucky on occasions, got a few wickets in India where it kept low, and got LBs and stuff like that, so you need a bit of luck against players like that as well.
Howie Gaydon in touch, listening on the island of Alderney. Says, good evening all. What hobby or sport does Jimmy enjoy relaxing with outside cricket? We know about the darts. Anything else?
Golf. Love playing golf. And tennis as well. I got a new tennis racket for my birthday, actually. Not long.
There's a video, isn't there? Is it your Twitter or Stuart Broad's Twitter where you hit a golf ball against a tree?
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, so...
back in your face.
Yeah. It was all obviously my own fault for a number of reasons.
Dangerous place, golf courses. But that was self-inflicted.
Yes. So, I was in the trees with my first shot. Second shot, I've seen a gap through the trees, so I said to Stuart, I think you should video this. This could be amazing if I pull it off. And I'd missed the tree stump that was 2 inches in front of my ball. So I've given it everything. I've whacked the ball straight into the tree stump, and it hit me on the point of the chin. Luckily, if it hit me anywhere else in the face, I'd have done some serious damage, but hit the hardest part of my head, thankfully.
And that would have been, maybe, who knows whether 600 wickets would have happened. I'm not going to ask you whether you'd do Strictly Come Dancing, because I'm not going to do that. But would you do Strictly Come Dancing? Says Lucy. No, I'm not. That's not fair. I mean, we haven't got Tuffers with us to give us the lowdown.
Maybe. I give it a maybe.
He hasn't said
it's not
no.
a no.
He hasn't said no.
Okay. Well, that's
see how desperate I get at the end of my career.
Line up the offers. Coaching. So, obviously, you're incredibly passionate about your skill of swing bowling and seam bowling. We've seen a lot of players around the world come up to you and ask you for advice. Do you get particular satisfaction from offering up your thoughts?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I love talking about the game. I love trying to pass on bits of information. I know how much I enjoyed that as a young player, people coming up and offering me advice or me asking for advice. It helps so much. And obviously, as a player, you kind of have to filter through the stuff that you get. You have to see what works for you and what doesn't. But it's definitely something I've enjoyed. I like taking a little bit of notice of what the other guys are doing, what they're working on. I think that helps. It helps if I want to offer something to them, try and offer some advice. But also it helps if I'm on the field with them, playing with them, that if something's going wrong, I can kind of know what triggers will get them back into bowling well, hopefully. So it's definitely something I've enjoyed, and maybe something in the future I could do a bit more of.
Romilly uses the hashtag BBC Cricket and says, it's a good question this, and we heard from Jofra Archer that he'd lost the World Cup winners medal earlier this year, then did find it again. But Romilly's question is, what do you do with all of the balls you take 5 wickets with, or significant milestones like the 600 wicket ball from this week? Have you got them sort of collected?
Yes, I do. I have a little office downstairs in my house. In a cupboard, I've got a wicker basket that's got all my balls.
Do you know which one's which?
I've written on them, yeah. So I know which ones are which, but they're not on display, they're not on show, but every now and then I do have a look through. And so I've got my first ever 5 for Lancashire, which was at Hampshire, I think, out at Southampton, right the way through to this week.
Fantastic. I mean, it almost seems a shame that only you gets to have a look through it. But you took the wickets.
Well, I'll bring it in for you if you want.
Could you? It's all right. You're not allowed, actually. You've got to stay in the bubble, so we're going to have to wait a little while. Do keep your questions coming in. And the hashtag, as I say, is BBC Cricket. Alex says, how much batting practice do you put in? And I suppose the question is, has that changed over the years? Have you put more in recent times?
I wouldn't say I put more in. For me, batting isn't something I particularly enjoy. if I'm being brutally honest. If I come off the field unscathed, then I'm pretty happy. But I realise it's something that, I've obviously been in some situations where, whether it's batting out for a draw or trying to get someone through to 100, you've got a job to do for the team to try and hang around. So I do work on it. I think if I look back, the best time the most I've enjoyed my batting was working with Andy Flower when he was batting coach just before he became head coach. Did a lot of work then and had a bit of success around that as well.
When you had that innings against India, when you made, was it 84?
81.
81. Were you thinking, I could get 100 here? Did that thought start coming into your head when you got through the 60s and 70s?
Yeah. It hadn't. I mean, I don't know if you heard Zach Crawley talking the other day. He got to 25 and thought, I couldn't stop thinking about 100, which is, shows what sort of form he was in. But I wasn't like that. I was, I think I was 81 not out at tea or at a break, and I came in, and Matt Pryor came up to me and said, only 19 more for 100. I was like, oh my God, yeah. I'm so close to 100. And then I nicked off a second over after tea.
Had you thought about the celebration?
No, I hadn't. I think I hadn't thought about that, but I had thought, it's only 19 more. And then, just gone like that. I don't know whether it was a lack, just a lapse in concentration or something.
Because I've thought about the celebration for my first test quite a lot.
You've got hundreds in other cricket, club cricket or kids cricket.
81 is my highest score in all forms of cricket, from junior through, third team club cricket right the way through. I think 57 was my highest before 81.
That's amazing. That is incredible. How did you celebrate the 600 with your family?
We went out for dinner last night. I mean, it's not been. I've only had a couple of days at home. We hopefully in the near future I could get together with the team and do something if the situation allows. But yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it's not something I really celebrate. The milestones. I enjoy celebrating Test match wins, and that the personal milestones really don't matter as much to me. I guess I might feel differently about that when I finish playing.
Your family must have been incredibly proud, though, and your dad, who saw your 500th. Yeah,
well, they've seen most of the 600, I'd say. My mum and dad have. They've followed me around, and frustrated not to be there actually to see the 600. But thankfully, I imagine they were listening on TMS whilst watching on the TV as well. But yeah, it was. It was nice to get a sort of video package as well at the end from the ECB, which was sweet of them.
There was some talk about people comparing you with Freddie Truman, who bowled, sort of fast swing, and when he reached 300 Test wickets, he said, was asked if anyone would do it again, and he said, well, if they do, they'll be bloody tired. Now you've taken twice as many as that. How tiring is it to take 600 wickets?
I'll be honest, I don't feel that tired. My body's held up really well. I've been so lucky that I've played in the era that I have with central contracts, because I think that's made a huge difference. You look back when Freddie played, and he was playing so much county cricket alongside the Test cricket, and also touring. They played so many tour matches when they went away as well. So there's so much cricket then. So I've been very lucky that I've played in this era, and I think that's definitely helped my longevity, and I think that hopefully going forward will do the same for me.
Question.
Many Freddie Truman videos on YouTube.
I've seen a bit, yeah. I love watching the old footage. I think it's fantastic, and I mean, to be honest, one of the people I would have loved to see more of is Brian Statham. Obviously, being a Lancashire legend, and being a Lancashire and England legend, I'd have loved to see more of him. I've loved to have got to meet him as well and chat cricket.
Jamie Root writes, what's your thoughts, as we know England love playing football as a warm-up, who's the best footballer that you've played with in the England cricket side over the years?
Chris Woakes, comfortably the best footballer, I'd say. And he plays football as you'd imagine He's like just a lovely, silky midfielder. Doesn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
No, you go. I'm done there. Chris Woakes, best player.
I was going to say, who thinks they're better than they are?
I couldn't.
Who doesn't think they're better than that?
There's quite a few of them. Sam Curran thinks he's amazing, but he's got that 2 left feet. There's quite a few of the young lads rate themselves. Ollie Pope rates himself. I think Ollie could actually play. I've not seen him play proper football because he's been banned for the last sort of 12 months. But I think he could be a nice footballer.
Joss Butler, I scored a good volley, I remember, a couple of years ago.
Joss is quite volatile on the football field, I'd say. Can get aggressive, can go in studs up when he goes in for a tackle. But yeah, he loves to try and have a flashy sort of bit of skill.
Sarah Collins with a question. My 10-year-old son Daniel has just started his hardball cricket career and is an aspiring Jimmy Anderson. He wants to know how hard you grip the ball when you're bowling.
That's a good question, actually. I don't really think about that. I think it's something that it's got to be an individual thing. It's a comfort thing. So I try and have it in tight enough, obviously, so it doesn't fall out. But you could actually just pull it out easily if you pulled it out with your other hand, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So not gripping too hard, but also you've got to find a good middle ground so that it's got to be comfortable and sit in the hand nicely.
Isha.
What are you looking for when you pick a ball?
Something small, fits in the hand with a big seam. Something that just it feels comfortable. Because some balls, especially the Dukes, they're very different because they're handmade. They're very different in size. The seams can vary quite a lot. The colour can vary quite a lot. So
what colour are you looking for as well?
Well, I mean, they vary from sort of red to a purple almost. So we generally go for a darker one, so more purple than red. But I think the fitting in the hand nicely is key, and it can be difficult because obviously if you're in charge of picking the ball and the other lads don't like it or it doesn't swing, then it's your fault. You're in the field for a long time. So generally, I'll get Stuart Broad to do it.